welcome in Baseball and Coffee, October 15th, 10:02 a.m. We had one game last night. We have one game tonight. Last night we had Dodgers Brewers. Dodgers continuing to flex their muscles big time on the mound. Nobody else can really match this. It will be curious to see and interesting to see if the matchup does end up being Seattle and Dodgers. They can get their pitching lined up. Those starting pitching matchups could be quite juicy for sure, but the Dodgers are making a mockery of it right now. Snell goes 8 yesterday. Yoshi goes 9 last night. I guess Snell was 2 days ago. But you get the idea. Really, really impressive stuff all around. And then tonight, we got a very interesting game as well. So we'll get into all of that in a moment. Let me just get my game notes all figured out over here. I've had a lot going on this morning. I want to apologize to anybody who had ordered something off of the shop. That some of the tracking has been a little hard to figure out. But we are sending a lot of that out today. So sorry about that. It's all new to us. We're trying to figure it out. So bear with me a little bit on that, and I will make sure everything gets sent out properly. Initially, we were waiting for some special packaging that my wife wanted to order, and this whole family's been sick for the past week. So those are my excuses, but that's where we're at. Okay. Ooh, right away we have a question in the chat. You pointed out the other day that Kike's stats in the postseason are a good bit higher than the regular season. Do you think he just turns it up on October? Do teams pitch him poorly? Little of both? It's a little bit of both. A little bit of a lot of factors in my mind when it comes to Kike. Number one, and we can go look at his stats right here. Regular season versus postseason. For one thing, I know he struggled a little bit at times early in seasons, and I wonder if his spring training approach could use a little bit of work, because he tends to turn it on also in the second half quite often. So it's not just the playoffs. It seems like it's the type of guy, takes a little while to find his swing at times. I also do think that the bigger stakes, the more focused he's capable of getting. So as a hitter in the regular season, he's got a 707 career OPS in 12 years. And in the postseason, he is currently sitting at a 885 OPS. So huge difference there, obviously, driven by a much higher batting average and more slugs. So, I mean, it's hard to point at one thing or another in terms of approach. But I feel like from what I've seen, not only being on his team in Boston, but also watching him play for the Dodgers over the years, seems to have a flair for just an ability to be a little bit better than his normal level in these moments. He doesn't chase as much. His 3-2 approach is better. He's more on time for fastballs. I also think there's something to that Dodger lineup that suits him really well, where he's kind of laying in the weeds. He's not one of the guys that you think about right away, but if you don't think about him, he'll embarrass you. And he's embarrassed quite a few guys over the years. So I don't know. It's one of those mysteries for sure. And we've only seen a few guys elevate their OPS this much. But he's one of them, so we'll keep paying attention and see if we see anything else that pops out. Okay, welcome in everybody today. Here's a comment about Yoshi. I knew he was good. You don't put that kind of money for someone who isn't, but I've never seen him pitch like he did last night, completely on the moment. So it was an interesting game. I just did a video on it. I haven't put it up yet. I'll put it on. I'll put it on right after this. I have to load it onto YouTube, but I just watched the entire Yoshi performance. It's different than Snell. He had a lot more contact outs. There's not as many strikeouts. He used 5 pitches instead of 4. But I'd say for the most part, they read these hitters like a book. They came out of the game very, very aggressive against Yoshi. And I'll illustrate that right now. Chorio, first pitch of the game, home run on a fastball. So he's swinging at a first pitch fastball. And then Terang, if you watch Terang, the first fastball he sees, which is on the 1-0 after a curveball, he's swinging. He's aggressive. So even though he doesn't get it, he's aggressive. Contreras, super aggressive on the first pitch here. Yelly, aggressive on the first pitch here. And I'd say right around this time, the Dodgers realized pretty quickly in the first inning, oh, that's the approach. He throws fastballs. That had been the scouting report on Yoshi coming into the game, that he was going to throw you a lot of fastballs. That had kind of been the trend over the previous couple games. But then he goes and identifies the aggression of the other team, and him and Will Smith flip that on its head right away. He almost threw no first pitch fastballs the rest of the game after that home run given up by Chorio. He threw a few later in the game, but their innings went by where it was all cutters, curveballs, and splits first pitch. He was not going to get himself ambushed. He was going to give himself a chance to see where the batters were at, and it played off with an unbelievable performance where he was off the barrel for the most part all game long. 34 splits. So split was a pitch that we wondered about yesterday on Baseball and Coffee. In the game notes, it had showed how he had kind of lost some feel of his split. Well, fixed it. Wasn't perfect every time, but it was his most used pitch. 34 splits, 27 curveballs. Did throw 27 fastballs, but a lot of them were more ahead in the count. A lot of his strikeouts came on fastballs. I can show you that. Some of these fastball strikeouts. So he pitched backwards a lot. But this was just good reading of the game by Will Smith and Yoshi. There's a fastball looking. He's going to get Chorio up and in with a perfectly placed fastball here. So starting soft, going hard late, pitching backwards. Not a new concept. People have been doing this for decades on end, but it's all about the way you realize it, right? You know, you realize it, you start going to it later, and you know, he also blew up a lot of bats with late fastballs as well. Here's another fastball. So gets 3 punch outs, if not more, on fastballs here. And I just think overall he decided, if you're going to ambush me, I want you to put my other pitches in play. Tremendous job, and really huge for Dave Roberts. I mean, the fact that they only had to cover 3 outs in game 1 of the series and then no outs yesterday with their bullpen sets them up in an extraordinary situation. I'm not sure who's scheduled yet for game 3. Could be... Do they have that listed out already? No, they don't have that out yet, but we'll see. Could be Ohtani, could be Glasnow, but they're in a great spot. Oh, some people are saying Glasnow. Also, the delivery hard to pick up, according to Ray. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of on you quick. If you look at Yoshi from the side, let's find that strikeout to Chorio. It's a fastball. If you look at Yoshi from the side, it kind of comes quick. He starts the delivery, he gets into this drift, and then from the moment he always looks at third base for a second. It's very interesting what he does with his head. He starts off looking at home. At this point, he always looks over here. He's looking at us. As soon as that head snaps back and he's back on his target, it's time to put the hammer down. It's a little drifty, and then hammer down. So athletic. I mean, so athletic to the point where he does a little hop off the mound at the end. That's how much velo he's putting into that front leg. And his lead leg block is outstanding. Little hop where he's actually off the mound here, a la Mike Mussina. Beautiful. So much swag. Really hard delivery to hit. Also really hard pitches to hit. Excellent curveball. Excellent split. Above average velo on the cutter. If we go look at his player breakdown from last night, check out the velocity on everything. Up across the board, almost a mile an hour on everything. On the cutter, it was up 1.6 miles an hour. This is the cutter right here. Average on the year, 91.1. Last night, 92.7. So it's not my favorite pitch in the world, but the fact that he's able to upshoot in velocity up a mile an hour and a half on command with a cutter makes it a lot more lethal, a lot more effective. So he was outstanding. You can watch his entire outing on the video that I post as soon as this stream is over today. It's a banger. He was outstanding. He used 2 types of fastballs. He used curveball really well. So he went from very fast speed to medium speed to low speed. He toggled through those speeds. Outstanding. Is 17-17 fastball dead zone? I would say no. Because that's got above average lift and above average run. 17-17 would be a pretty good fastball to have. Ric Flair, thanks for the question. And he saved the bullpen, and he did all of that. Everybody seems to be on that train, understanding how that goes. Good morning to everybody. Okay, let's go ahead and let's take a peek at today's research packet and see what they have on the game from last night and just overall. And then we'll do our preparation for Seattle and Toronto tonight. Game number 3 from Seattle. Happy birthday to Jack Flaherty and Teoscar Hernandez, 33 and 30 respectively. Happy 80th birthday to Jim Palmer, who I've been lucky enough to talk to a few times in the Oriole Clubhouse. Kind of a trip to talk to a Hall of Famer like that, but 80 now. Wow, 80. On this date in 88, Kirk Gibson hit that famous home run, pumping the fist off Dennis Eckersley to win Game 1 of the 88 World Series. On this date in 2018, the Brewers beat the Dodgers in Game 3 of the NLCS to claim their most recent road playoff victory to date. They've lost each of their 9 road postseason games since, so that's not a very good omen headed into Dodger Stadium. However, the last time they did it was in Dodger Stadium, so really, all these stats don't really mean a whole lot for moving forward. And on this day in 2022, the Mariners were eliminated by the Astros in an 18-inning loss in Game 3 of the ALDS in T-Mobile Park, which was a crazy game, if you guys recall. 18 innings. I think it was 0-0 or 1-1 most of that game. That was crazy. Oh, we got another question here from Rick before I keep going. That's where I average, and my pitching coach says I need to drop vert and be more sinker. Well, I don't have a whole lot of information about you, Rick. I don't know what arm angle you throw from. I don't know what your other pitches look like. So, but if you're getting a ton of run on your pitch, then yeah, maybe a sinker could be something to think about if you can kill some vert. But there's so many questions here. So anyway, take a little detour. Okay, Road Warriors. This is just the second year in which the road team went up 2-0 in both LCS in the same year. The other year was 1970. Can't buy a hit. Only the 2019 Nats, 4 hits in the NLCS, have allowed fewer hits off the first 2 games of a postseason series than the Dodgers just did. Again, Snell and Yamamoto, unfair, completely unfair, ridiculously unfair. They haven't even pitched Ohtani or Glasnow yet. Iron Men, Blake Snell and Yoshinobu Yamamoto have each gone 8+ innings in the first 2 games of the series. The last team to have its starters go 8+ innings back-to-back games with a single postseason series is way back in 2010, the year I debuted in the big leagues. And it was in the World Series. Bumgarner and Lincecum, my friend. Those guys are legends. This was a different sport back then, so it shows just how much of an outlier this is right now. Big game Yoshi. This was Yamamoto's first complete game since striking out 14 on 138 pitches in Game 6 of the 2023 Japan Series for the Oryx Buffaloes, his final start in Japan. We talked about this game a little bit. It was a legendary game. This, too, was a bounce back. From a bad performance in the first game of the Japan Series that year. So he has a bad performance versus the Phillies a few days ago. Oh, how's he going to look, tonight? Last night, guess what? Complete game. So Yoshi knows how to bounce back. He's very good at making adjustments, and we're starting to see it, in the United States relatively consistently. So the Dodgers signed the right guy. There was a reason why there was a bidding war for this guy. He is the complete package. Yamamoto logged the first CG since Verlander in Game 2 of the 2017 ALCS. The last by a Dodger was Jose Lima in 2004. And it took to the Dodgers' 170th game of the season, but they have their first CG of 2025. And I think Snell could have had one too. So they could have had back-to-back, just showing that this team is absolutely peaking at the right moment. Strange but true. We've now seen a game in each series where the home team hit a leadoff home run and then never scored again. Springer in the Game 1 versus Seattle. And then Jackson Chourio, this game off Yoshi. First pitch home run into the bullpen, and then after that, didn't score again. Yes, R.I.P. Lima time. If you don't know about Jose Lima, go watch some videos. He used to throw the changeup, and then he would pull the string back from the mound. He had some of the most swag ever out there. So, nice that we get to talk about Jose Lima. Okay. This was the opposite of Yamamoto's start on September 6th, where he opened the game with 8 2/3 no-hit innings before giving up the home run to Jackson Holliday. That was one of my first Baseball After Dark streams when Yoshi almost threw the no-hitter this year, and then Jackson clipped him for the home run. So yeah, this is sort of like an opposite, but that just shows you he's had a couple crazy dominant outings in the last month or two. The Dodgers' rotation this postseason: Yamamoto, Snell, Glasnow, Ohtani will be paid a combined $1.34 billion with a B over their deals. But they've been money this fall. Lowest rotation ERA first 8 games of a postseason, the 2025 Dodgers, 1.54. That's ridiculously good. Ridiculously good. All right, here's the game tonight. Shane Bieber versus George Kirby. This is a tough matchup, I would say, for the Blue Jays, but Bieber has looked good at times. They are going to really need him to step up big time tonight and throw a clean game, because I'm pretty sure George is going to pitch well. And if I were coaching the Blue Jay hitters facing Kirby, I would say ambushes are welcome. He's going to throw a lot of strikes. You'll know by the second inning whether he's leaning on one pitch or another. Usually it's fastballs. Last game it was a lot of sliders, and then just attack that pitch relentlessly in the zone. That would be my advice. Let's see what we have in this packet today. We have takeaways from the Dodgers game 2. Maybe we should start with that. And then we'll go look at the Mariners. All right, so we're going to skip the notes initially. And we'll come back when we're talking them. And we're going to do some takeaway game 2s. This is all just talking about a little bit about how the Dodgers all of a sudden have an unbelievable starting staff. Where 2 years ago, the Dodgers flamed out in the NLCS as Kershaw, Bobby Miller, and Lance Lynn all started games, struggling versus the D-backs. At that time, the strength was more bullpen. They fixed that. Now it's all rotation. So, big time. Shohei slumping at the plate. Doc put him on the mound to shake him awake. Well, I think Shohei never stays down for long. But, yeah, I think Shohei's looked great on the mound as well. It's nice when you have another option, right? Another way to do it. Here are the starting pitchers for the last 5 seasons for the Dodgers. This chart is a mess, but it looks like Walker Buehler, Tyler Anderson, Clayton Kershaw. Scherzer's in there. I don't know. It's a mess. There's some starters all over the place. They use a lot of openers. You say all this to say that they're in a much different situation now with Snell and Yamamoto. Consecutive starts of 8 innings plus 1 or 0 runs to begin a postseason series last 50 years. 1981 Astros, Ryan and Necro. 81 Dodgers, Valenzuela and Royce. A's in 81, Mike Norris, Steve McCatty. 83 Dodgers, Jerry Royce again, and Fernando Valenzuela again. And then the Dodgers, Blake Snell, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Glasnow and Ohtani games 3 and 4. Glasnow was pulled after 6 innings in game 4. Ohtani has top 90 pitches all year, so this is huge because they're going to need some relievers in those games. Those guys aren't throwing CGs. And then on the other side of the plate, the Dodgers are finally hitting. Max Muncy showed up with a homer in the 6th inning on Tuesday. Tommy Edman and Kike each have multi-hit games. Ohtani's OPS is still under 600. So is Wills, but some of the other guys are chipping in, particularly Kike and Edman now. And Muncy all of a sudden. In order to bring the series back to Milwaukee, the Brewers must make LA's starting pitchers work more. Easier said than done. The crew are seeing around the same number of pitches per plate appearance they did in the regular season, but they are drawing walks, and they haven't been able to hit the ball in the air. And I think a lot of it was desperation. They were really, really struggling to face Snell and Yamamoto, so they tried to be a little more aggressive, and that plan kind of backfired as he was getting them off the fat part of the bat all night. All right. I think we're kind of done now with the Dodgers Brewers, and we should turn our attention now to the Mariners and Blue Jays, since that game is tonight. Game 3, 8:08 Eastern, 5:08 Pacific, so maybe a little shadows early in the game in Seattle. I'm not sure how that ballpark is with shadows, whether they'll have the roof. They have a roof. They don't have a dome. They have a legitimate roof. It's still open air. So I don't know whether the roof will be up or not, but we will see. All right, notes for tonight's game, Mariners Blue Jays. Mariners return home for their first LCS game since Game 2 of the 2001 ALCS. They are just 2 wins away from their first pennant in franchise history. So this is the closest they've ever been. Are you guys nervous yet, Mariners fans, or are you feeling really good where you're sitting? Because you should be able to win 2 out of the next 5 games and seal the deal here. So I feel pretty good about that. Good news for the Jays, though. Toronto swept the 3-game series in Seattle in May, scoring 21 runs on 35 hits. There will likely be a ton of Blue Jays fans in this game coming from British Columbia, given that Seattle's pretty north. So that's the advantage, if you're looking for a sign of hope for the Jays a little bit. They've won there. They'll have a lot of fans there. But Seattle is 24-7 at home since the start of August, which is the best in the big leagues. Seattle's bullpen as well. It's not just their starters. Their bullpen continues to step up. Edward Bizardo, who's been arguably the MVP of this bullpen so far. Carlos Vargas, Emerson Hancock combined to throw 6 scoreless innings with just 1 hit on Monday. The Mariners' pen has now tossed 18 consecutive scoreless innings. Across the last 3 games, both batters are 6 for 61, 0.98 against their relievers. So they have a nice starting, similar to the Dodgers. Maybe not quite to the same level, but Kirby, Castillo, Gilbert, Miller, and potentially Wu. But on top of that, their relief core has been outstanding. Munoz, Brash, and especially Bizardo. My God, Bizardo's been a godsend for this team. The Blue Jays have just one hit in the third inning or later in the first two games of the series. They're 1 for 42. All from 4 runs Toronto has scored have come in the first 2 frames. George Springer is the only Jay with an extra base hit in the series. So that's not good. They need Vladdy to step up. They need to find offense from somewhere. In particular, they need to make adjustments as the game goes on. If they're not getting hits after the third, that tells me that they are not changing their approach much and they are not finding a way to break through. Jorge Polanco of the Mariners came up big again on Monday, launching a 3-run homer off Louis Varland to break up a 3-3 tie and put the Mariners in front for good. He's the third player in MLB history to drive in the game-winning run 3 consecutive games. Hosmer in 2015 and Delman Young in 2012. Quote, I love those situations. I don't know what to say, man. I'm clutch. Well, maybe John Schneider should take notice of this a little bit. I hated the intentional walk the other day to Raleigh. It just put an extra potential run on base. By the time Polanco came up, he did deliver with the home run. They need to start treating him, the way that he should be treated given how he's playing right now. Julio Rodriguez and Josh Naylor both went deep in Game 2 as well. The Mariners scored 50% of their runs via home run in the regular season and 50% of them in the postseason. Naylor is 9 for 18 with 2 doubles, 1 home run, 2 RBIs, and 2 steals in the last 4 games. That's a little dad strength for you. Naylor was missing in action for a minute, having the birth of his kid, comes back, doesn't miss a beat, plays outstanding. So Naylor and Julio getting hot has added a lot to their team. And, when we were contrasting these offenses, in the initial matchup, the Blue Jays with their contact approach, I felt like was a pretty good approach. And the Mariners have more of this power approach, but the power approach so far is working out as they've hit a bunch of homers and they've been the team getting on the board. Shane Bieber, tonight's starter, was handed a 5-run lead in Game 3 of the ALDS in the Bronx, but he couldn't get through 3 innings, 2 2/3, 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 Ks, 1 walk, 54 pitches. He struggled to miss bats, finishing with only 5 whiffs on 29 swings, 17.2% whiff rate, 8th lowest of his career. So, again, Bieber is the big key tonight. He's going to have to come out and match what George Kirby does, and that gives the Blue Jays a chance to get a couple rallies here, and get their mojo back in this series. But this is huge for a bunch of reasons for Bieber. This could be his last start. If they don't come back and do anything in this series, he can decline a $16 million player option and hit the open market age 30, which I'm sure he'll do now that he's healthy. So this has been a gamble, and this is why they brought him in. They brought him in for big games like this. Of course, they'd love to be tied in the series, but Shane Bieber has a chance to put the team on his back today and get them back in this series. He does have a 1.52 ERA and 5 career starts at T-Mobile Park. Includes 1 earned run in 19 innings pitched with 21 Ks, no walks since 2022. So a mound he's comfortable on, that's good. You don't want to go to a mound that you're not comfortable on when you need to have a great performance. So we'll take that with a grain of salt, but that is worth noting. Seattle finally gets to a starting pitcher on regular rest in the series, which is crazy that they won the first 2 on short rests. George Kirby held Detroit to 1 run over 5 innings in the 15-inning ALDS clincher on Friday. Both of Kirby's starts this postseason have come in Seattle. In the regular season, he had a 3.38 at home and a 5.16 on the road, so good to get him at home. He's also been outstanding he's only had 3 postseason starts, but they've been great. 1.59, 19 Ks, 1 walk from George. And his only other postseason appearance came against the Jays as a rookie in relief of Game 2 when he earned his only career save by closing out the clincher. Santander is 6 for 15, 400 with 2 home runs off Kirby in his career, but he was scratched from the lineup in Game 2 due to back tightness, and his status is uncertain. They're scratching they're looking for everything to get offense going. They're checking under couch cushions, who can hit, who's available. Santander has good numbers. They'd love to have him in the lineup, but they got to get him feeling good. Vlad Jr. is 0 for 7 in this series after going 9 for 17 with 3 homers and 9 RBIs against the ALDS. They should hypnotize him to thinking he's playing the Yankees, because that seems to be the strategy, is to get him thinking he's playing the Yankees, and then he'll get him to play his best ball, Vlad Jr. But they need to get him going. It goes without saying, especially with no Bichette in the lineup, they're not going to do anything without Vlad Jr. All right. What's the feeling on longtime bullpen coach Harkey leaving? I don't know. I don't know what the circumstance of that is. I love Hark, a good friend. I thought he's a good bullpen coach. He's been around a long time. Great vibes. So that spot is up for grabs, I guess, in the Yankee bullpen. Interesting to see what they do there. But yeah, sometimes things happen. Teams look to, get more updated or whatever. But I love Hark. Wishing him nothing but love. All right. We have a breakdown on George Kirby here that we should look into a little bit. Then maybe we'll watch a little baseball to finish it out. We'll get a little bit of a feel for a few things here. All right, deep dive on George Kirby. He was the 20th overall pick by the Mariners in 2019 out of Elon. He is from Rye, New York, so this is a guy I've always kept an eye on. Being a New Yorker, I always root for anybody in the area, unless they turn out to be a douche. But this guy's been pretty cool. I texted him one time. I love the fact that he has his own process. He turned down coming to the lab to throw because he likes to throw by himself. Famously throws to a 9 pocket by himself, listening to like crazy EDM music. And you know what? He's got the best command that's come around in a long time, so I respect it. If you have a system that works for you, do you. Do you. You know, it's awesome. I love that. The right-hander then posted the worst ERA of career in 2025, but he had a FIP below 3.50 once again, while also posting the best strikeout rate of his career. So this year, he was hurt a little bit at the beginning. But then he got healthy, started off slow, but he's been picking it up lately. He's been really good in the second half. That's what all these numbers are trying to tell you. George Kirby, FIP under 3.50, first 4 seasons since 2022. He joins Logan Webb, Zach Wheeler, Sonny Gray, and Framber Valdez as the only people to do that since 2022. So he's simply put one of the most exciting young pitchers in the game. And part of the reason why I love him so much as a pitcher is just because his walk rate is outstanding. I mean, we go look at the George Kirby career walk rate here. It's extremely low. It's historically low. And ultimately, if you're not going to beat yourself, then the other team has to beat you. And at some point, he's going to have a year where a lot of luck goes in his favor, and he rolls it to a Cy Young Award. 1.5 walks the first year, 0.9 the second, 1.1 the third, and 2.1 this year. I mean, I never even approached these numbers in any year, and he does it year after year after year after year after year, and that sets your floor extremely high. He's the type of guy that managers love to give the ball to because you know what you're going to get out of George. You know you're not going to get just a terrible command day from him. So that's something that is a feature of his pitching style. He does throw a lot of strikes, so occasionally vulnerable to getting hit a little bit. But I think that's the only thing he has to do now is figure out strategy. He's never going to have a hard time throwing the ball over the plate or his mechanics or any of that. That's all dialed in. It's just a matter of making the right choices and figuring out the right strategies game to game. Last 5 starts, including the postseason, he's 27 and a third, 2.30, 45 Ks, 2 walks. So, again, it's the 2 walks. He's giving up 4 homers. That's how you're going to have to get him. You're going to have to get ready for 4-seam a lot of the time with him or sinker. I mean, when he gave up that home run to Kerry Carpenter, it was on a fastball. So I'd say be ready for a fastball if you're a Blue Jay hitter. But, again, you'll know a lot more in the first or second inning whether he's going to go heavy slider like he did his last outing or whether he's going to stick with his fastball approach. His career strikeout ratio is the best of any pitcher in Major League history with 600-plus innings. That's how good it is. Better than Jacob deGrom. 6.7 strikeouts per walks. Jake is at 5.4, which is the best all time. And obviously he's pitched a lot more innings than George Kirby. But I do think it's impressive at any point to have 600 innings and lead the league all time in a stat. Lead Major League's all time in stat. So strikeout to walk ratio, incredible. This was the highest walk rate of his career. Still really good. 2.1 walks per 9. Like, that's your worst. That's pretty impressive. But the whiff rate has jumped up this year, 26.5% whiff rate. So that's what he's been trying to figure out. You're a mad scientist in the lab. You're trying to figure out how to tweak your arsenal, to get the contact that you want now that you're getting more whiff and you're getting less and you still have low walk. So he's just going to figure out his mix over time, and eventually he'll find that perfect mix and the perfect season, and the sky's the limit. He was primarily a 4-seam fastball pitcher when he debuted in 2022, but he's added a 2-seamer for the added wrinkle. Those fastballs have been most successful in the game, along with the other 2 teammates over that span, Wu and Castillo. So this is something that the Mariners preach, and they've been a little bit ahead of the game with this, using the 2 different fastballs to great effect. Kirby has jumped on board with this, and it's actually made both of his fastballs play better by having different shapes, sinker and 4-seam. Kirby looked entirely different in 2024, either because he was compensating with an injured shoulder or altered his mechanics because of the injury. He dropped his angle significantly from 2024. So this is probably the biggest change that we've seen this year. The arm angle went from It went from 34 degrees when he first debuted. Now it's down to 29.5. It's not that significant. I mean, it's significant, but guys are going to find, any avenue they can to try to stay healthy out there. So him getting a little bit lower, it's the chicken or the egg. It's did he do it because of injury? Did he do it to hopefully avoid future injury? We'll find out. But typically when you're a little bit lower, it changes the shape of your fastball, and that's what we're seeing here. It has altered his four-seam shape. So now it has more drop on it, less ride, which theoretically shouldn't be great. However, the results have been great. You would think this would make it a worse pitch, because now it went from 14 inches of drop to 16, so more drop should be a bad thing on a four-seam. But he's added an inch of run, and the whiff rate has gone up to 30.7 instead of 29.1, and the opposing average and slugging has improved. So the question is why, and the reason is because where he's elevating it. Only Robbie Ray elevated his fastball more often than Kirby in 2025. He lives at the top of the strike zone, which allows the slightly lower arm angle to play up a little bit with that VAA, which kind of deletes the issue there that would have risen with his fastball shape from having a lower slot. So he kind of counteracts that by pitching at the very top of the zone, and we know he has outstanding arm angle. And so here are all the pitchers that have the highest percentage of elevated heaters. And it's a who's who of ride guys, but they all have higher arm slots than George. Robbie Ray's got a 47-degree arm angle. Nick Pivetta, 56. Shane Baz, 36. Paddock, 47. Littell, 39. So when you throw the ball from a lower slot and shoot it up, it has an even more uphill effect, and that's what George is leaning into. Kirby elevates both his four-seam and sinker. That pairs well with his slider and curveball, which he keeps down in the zone. So typically guys like to throw their sinker low, but George throws a lot of sinkers for comeback sinkers. And those pitches, in my opinion, you do want to throw medium to high height. Here are the heat maps for the four-seam. Top of the zone. This one is the sinker, also top of the zone. This pitch where this area where it's a little red to the lefties, that indicates those front doors that start kind of at the chest of the hitter and then run back over the corner for strike three. And then this is where he puts his slider and curve. A lot of strikes with sliders, a lot of chase below the zone, and then the curve, kind of the same deal. As Kirby lowered his arm angle in 2025, he's begun relying more on his breaking pitches. As a result, they've played up. Both his slider and curveball have more inches of break, and the whiff rates on both pitches have jumped. But the drop in the arm angle has also caused Kirby to abandon his split, which is becoming an important pitch for him in 2024. All right, so this is something to throw on the solo shot for a sec. Let me see if I can find one of my baseballs here. I know I have one here. Hold on. All right, so splitter, oftentimes a lot easier if you're behind the ball, and that's why you see a lot of four-seam pitchers and Japanese pitchers who throw those riding fours with splits, because you're coming down, straight down through it. When it squeaks out, when you're more on the side like I am, it's a little trickier. So now that George is a little more lower, when the ball comes out, it's hard to cut it straight through and not pull it to the left with you. You almost have to counteract it with a little pronation from over here, which he's not using. So ultimately, that's what's probably making it a little bit tougher for him to do that now that he's got a lower arm angle. And that's why he's abandoned the split. He's going all breaking balls and fastballs. But this is the type of thing that people do now. They constantly change their mix. They constantly, adapt who they are to who they are at that moment. He's got the lower slot. He's going to lean into what makes that lower slot play up, which is fastballs at the top and more breaking balls. Slider has become more important for him when facing both lefties and righties with two strikes. So he's using slider more with two strikes. We'll keep an eye out for that. And he really leaned on the two-seamer and slider in the ALDS versus the Tigers. It could be a plan of attack that Kirby sticks to in the ALCS versus the Jays. He pumped up the usage of the sinker and the slider, as we mentioned in his last start. He threw a crap load of sliders, almost 50% sliders. So again, you're just going to have to watch him in the first inning, and he'll give you a pretty good hint of how he's doing it. The Jays could present a problem to Kirby, as they've been one of the best in baseball at handling the elevated fastball. So now you're getting into a little bit of a stylistic battle here. The Jays like the high heater. They're very quick to the ball. They have great contact rates. He likes to throw the ball high. Who's going to win out in this battle? Average leaders versus elevated four-seamers in the big leagues. Kirk is at 392. Vlad's at 387. So let's keep an eye on those two guys tonight. Kirk and Vlad. Those are guys that they need to hit if they're going to win anyway. Perhaps they'll run into what they want. Elevated four-seamer sinker from Kirby or perhaps he'll shift into a different location when facing those guys, but we're going to have to see because it's always interesting when strength versus strength has a showdown. All right, quick look at Jorge Polanco. Jorge Polanco, his first 10 seasons in MLB was with the Twins. Then he gets traded to the Mariners prior to 2024. He's been injured a lot, and he was kind of struggling. So he entered free agency for the first time last year, and the Mariners ended up bringing him back on a one-year, $7.5 million injury, and he got healthy. So he started the campaign pretty well. And in April, he was unreal. 22 games in April, 384, 9 homers, 25 RBIs, 1,200 OPS. They were calling him George Bonds. He wasn't George Bonds before, Mitch Garver said. He was Harry Potter because he was a wizard. He'd just make his hits appear. Now he's George Bonds because all of a sudden he was crushing. March and April, he was second in the big leagues in batting average, or maybe that's slugging. He's actually hitting like he was Aaron Judge in the beginning of the season, and that kind of came around all the way to the postseason. He struggled after that, but overall, 821 OPS, 26 homers in 138 games, 132 weighted runs created plus, highest in any season of his career in which he played more than 10 games. So this actually turned out to be Polanco's best year. This was a huge pull from the Mariners to buy into what they saw from Jorge Polanco and bring him in. And boy, has it played out in the playoffs. He's got, like I've mentioned a few times, 2 homers off Skubal, 2 RBI hits versus the Blue Jays, and then the home run the other day off Varland, the walk-off hit off Kamely to send the Mariners to the ALCS. So he's been a heck of a steal. 7.5 on a one-year deal from a guy you already know and fits in with your clubhouse. Beautiful. Yeah, so we talked a little bit about these are the big hits he's gotten so far. Solo home run off Skubal, solo home run off Skubal, single off Finnegan, which was a big hit that advanced J-Rod to third in a big spot. In the game 5, RBS single off Kamely to clinch it. ALCS game 1, RBS single off Little, RBS single off Dominguez, and then game 2, the 3-run homer off Varland. And then he actually got another big hit off Braden Fisher and came around to score as well. So he's been a big problem. And the way that Schneider's been managing, it's almost like he doesn't believe in Jorge Polanco or Julio Rodriguez's ability, as he's shied way away from Cal Raleigh so far. We'll see if that continues. We'll see if they make that adjustment or if they continue to play that way and manage that way. Most consecutive games to drive in the go-ahead run in postseason history. Delman Young had 4, Jorge Polanco 3, Eric Hosmer 3, Hal Morris 3, Gil Hodges 3. So one more, and he ties the great Delman Young, the first overall pick of the 2003 draft. And there's a baseball documentary out there, We Are Young, a baseball family. If you find it, it's electric. I know the family pulled it back. Me and my friend Jared got to see it one time. They told me it doesn't exist. It exists. It's out there. Great. And now George Bonds and the Mariners travel home to Seattle with a chance to advance to their first World Series in franchise history. All right. So that is the notes on tonight's game. It is George Kirby. It is Shane Bieber. It's going to be an outstanding matchup tonight. The Blue Jays need to play a clean game. And I want to see what we're going to watch a little bit of, a little bit more after I take one quick peek at something here. Shane Bieber. He ends up going this year 4-2 with 3.57 and 40 innings. Now, this pitch right here, the kick change, the green dots, that was a new pitch. So to me, that looked like it had really elevated his ability, but he hasn't had great command of it or action on it the last 2 games. So a pitch that he had a great feel for, a minute ago, he's kind of lost a little bit, and that makes that's a little bit of a concern. 2025, we're looking for average induced vertical break, and we are looking for the changeup. Where's the changeup? I guess he didn't come back late enough, so there's no information. Where's September? Did he quit throwing? So it looks like yeah, the first month, it was incredible. It was performing incredibly well, the changeup. He threw 23 of them. It's not as much sample, but 62.5% whiff. 132 x WOBA, but then fast forward to September, throws it about the same percentage, but with much less effect. Only gets the 1 strikeout, gives up a home run on it, has a 310 x WOBA, and only a 30.1%, 30.8% whiff. So something's up with the changeup. We need to take a peek at that and see what's going on. Also, this is fascinating. He's always been good at not allowing you to pull the ball in the air, but 19.3% pulled in the air is the worst ever for him. So that's the thing you're looking to avoid versus the Mariners, especially guys like Suarez. They're really good at pulling home runs in the air. So he's going to have to watch out for that a little bit. I expect him to pitch outside a lot, throw a lot of sliders. In terms of his run values so far this year, yeah, definitely expect him to shy away from the changeup unless he established new feel for it over the last few days. He's going to lean heavily on this curveball, slider, and four-seam, which I've had run value for him this year, and really, really good command, which is what Shane Bieber's known for. I did make a video on Shane Bieber for his first start off Tommy John where I thought he looked incredible. But yeah, that stuff is backed up a little bit as we go, and we're really curious to see what version of Shane Bieber we're getting today. He's another one who has slightly dropped the arm angle since he's come back, looking to, get back into it, and stay healthy. All right, let's see if we can find a little bit of Bieber's outing versus the Yankees the other day where he did not do well. Just get a little peek of what we're looking at here. So he gets a ground out from Grisham here.
And that's the process he's going through. Oh, by the way, in the postseason.
I know that Jaden has been asking about this for a while. He's saying that his changeup looked like a slower two-seam versus the Yankees, which is not where you want to be when you've been on a crazy track with your kick change. So he doesn't have crazy velocity. He's going to be 91 to 94 for the most part, so it's not going to overpower you. So that's why command is so important, and that's where I really thought that changeup was so important because it added a plus pitch movement-wise and action-wise to an arsenal. It's not very spicy. Like, it's a good arsenal. It's nice breaking pitches, but it's not very fast. Yankees were quite aggressive against him. That's a good pitch for Bellinger to hit. Doesn't hit it there. Here's the changeup. Let's see the action on this one. So it doesn't get to negatives. 89. Doesn't quite have the same action that the kick changes had before. This is only 1.5 right here, and it's at 89, so not a whole lot off the fastball. I would agree in this moment it looks a little bit like a slower two-seam. Let's see what else we got here. Stanton got a hit off him on a knuckle curve. This has been his best pitch this year. Ooh, that was a good job by Stanton going down and getting the pitch below the zone. Chisholm flies out on a fastball. 94, this is about the peak of his fastball ability. All right, second inning, McMahon. Fly out on a fastball. Wells with a strikeout. All right, there's a changeup here. Let's watch it. Changeup. First pitch to Wells. I mean, that's just bad location. The action on it's actually not horrible. It gets to slightly negative. But I think a big part of him going away from it is not only the action. A lot of it is the command, because that's a dangerous pitch right there. So I don't expect to see a lot of changeups out of Bieber off of some of the stuff we've seen right now. Here's another one. This is 0-2.
Bieber rocks and fires.
Doesn't have the same action. This is great command this time, but it's at positive 2.1 vert. He's been averaging -2 vert on the changeup. If this one gets to -2 on his kick change, it's going to be a strikeout. Doesn't get it. More evidence that the changeup's lagging behind the other pitches right now. Here's another one. Can't see it, but this one's even worse. 5.6 inches of vert and doesn't have anything to it. So I think he's lost the feel a little bit for the kick change. Had it really dialed in when he came back. This is something that's very common in baseball. You have a pitch, you can lose it overnight, and then you lose your confidence with it, and you stop throwing it in the game very, very fast. Here's a strikeout with a knuckle curve. Given that Seattle wants to pull him in the air, he's going to be careful with ambushes. I think you'll see a lot of off-speed early in the game. I think, he'll dance around throwing his fastball as much as he can, without trying to really, really pinpoint it. You see what happens when he makes mistakes in the zone with that fastball. Grisham's all over that. Judge is all over this pitch. This is a changeup again with bad action. Just no drop on that whatsoever compared to what he was featuring. So he's had, I don't know, how many days has he had now between this game and tonight's game? Quite a few, right? He's had quite a few to work on his game. And this is what's so underrated and so important about being a big league pitcher is what's your work look like in between? Can you become a new pitcher and come out looking a lot better in your next outing? Or are you kind of stuck where you are and you have a hard time making quick adjustments? This guy won the Cy Young Award, so I expect him to make some quick adjustments. I would expect some of the locations on the breaking balls to be better tonight. And if he does go change up, I think they're almost all going to be down for chase. I don't think he's going to trust himself, at least initially in the game, to throw changeups for strikes. Here's a Bellinger single. This one's going to come on. Let's watch this changeup. 0-1 changeup. This one's got a little better action, but not really getting it down. Just kind of fading off the plate away, right? All right, so we've done some pretty good investigating on Bieber. They need a great start from him, but right now, as good as he's been this year, he does seem to be trending the other way a touch. So not a great ideal situation for the Blue Jays, but that doesn't mean he can't step up. We just saw Yamamoto bounce back from a suboptimal start to put up one of the best starts we've seen this postseason. So perhaps Shane can do that as well. And then he ends up losing these last three guys. So I think that's probably it. To look at Bieber a little bit before the start. Now I wanted to look at Kirby as well. I'm trying to remember what day Kirby pitched. That must have been Sunday. No. That must have been Friday. Yeah, he started this game. This was the crazy 15-inning game. This is what I wanted to point out before. Kirby, 50% slider in his last game. That's not normal at all. Not normal at all. He's typically been much more fastball. So this is what I'm saying. This is what you got to look out for in the first inning. Is George going to lean in huge on breaking ball today? You'll know right away. Otherwise, he'll be attacking with fastballs. And as we just mentioned, the Blue Jays are pretty good at hitting fastballs elevated. So that would be a strength-on-strength challenge. I do expect him to lean into a lot of sliders and actually throw way more knuckle curves in this game than he did his last start, because when he was throwing fastballs up, they'll pair well off of knuckle curves. So we're going to have to watch out for that a little bit. We have some good stuff in the chat, so I'm going to switch over here, answer a few questions. All right. I had a question. Thank you, Honorata. I had a question about splitters and spin rates. Why is it good to have one with extremely low spin? Can't the batter recognize the spin difference out of hand, or does that not work? It's hard to recognize it out of hand. You can see it a little bit, for sure. But ultimately, the lower spin, the less that ball will resist gravity, and the low spin will aid it in dropping. And at the end of the day, you want the ball to drop a lot. Now, not everybody throws a split with crazy low spin, like a forkball type, like a Sasaki or Cade Smith, and there's some others out there, but which kind of plays more like a knuckleball. But if you're in that sweet spot, like the low thousands in spin rate, you have enough lack of spin to kill the vert a little bit more, and really you're just kind of spinning it like a changeup. And nowadays we've learned how to spin it even more sideways, like a UFO, and that seam shift will also create a little bit more drop. From a hitter's perspective, yeah, I do think you can see like looser spin as more of an obvious tell out of the hand than two pitches with similar spin that do different things. Spin rate, I should say. I agree with that. But doesn't mean these pitches are easy to hit, because the lower the spin, the more unpredictable the movement is on the pitch. So even if you see it, you don't really know where it's going to go. Think Roki Sasaki. It's got a little bit of a mind of its own. Sometimes it cuts, sometimes it rides, sometimes it stays up, sometimes it goes to the right, but it usually drops. And also, the ones with the low spin are typically way slower than the fastball. So they have a secondary effect of a speed differential as well. So that's a little bit of why you would want to throw the low spin pitch. I do agree, though, it is a little easier to see out of the hand. And everything that I've been saying in baseball, there's always a give and take. Everything's a double-edged sword. You create better movement, but it makes the batter a little easier to see, or you have more subtle movement, but then the batter can't see it as well. These are all things that you're weighing out in terms of the effect that you want to put on the batter. Does the spin help or hurt the negative vert on it? Lower spin will help it get to negative vert almost every time. Usually, though, what's really happening here in Bieber's case, to get to the negative vert, is he's just not getting it onto the perfect axis for the seam shift effect to happen. When the seam shift effect happens, it pushes the ball down, and you see that negative vert value. He's getting close to it, but he's not quite getting it, so he's just getting a lazy runner. So it's just like a bad version of the pitch, little change up. It's not quite catching the air and getting forced down. So to me, that's the big difference there. You got it. I hope that helped. I miss having a classic knuckleball pitcher in the league. Me too, and I wonder why more teams don't try to develop these guys. They can throw forever. They're really hard to hit. It's something different. So I think we'll see more of it going forward. But also a really hard pitch to throw. Also a really hard pitch to learn and be effective with. You see a lot of position players with them, but very few pitchers that know how to do it. So that's an interesting little thing there. Daniel, I did not see this yet. I'm sure there was a lot of, lockout talk, big market versus small market talk, but I didn't see any of that yet. That's more of an off-season topic for me. All right. What else do we have here? So we have done a pretty good job reviewing and getting ready for this game. From the standpoint of Toronto, I don't think, even though they need a good start out of Bieber, I don't think that Schneider will wait around long. If he sees any signs of faltering, I think pretty quickly he'll get his top relievers in the game and they'll manage this game backwards. They'll manage this game backwards. Like, they'll throw their best guys out there first and they'll continue to play it out and hope to gain a lead while they're in that scenario and then pitch somebody else late in the game. They will not hold people back. You might see a guy like... let's see here. Let me look at their pitchers for a sec. I definitely think it's fair to say you'll see Varland early, maybe Little early in this game. Lauer will probably pitch a bulk inning if Bieber gets in trouble. Fisher maybe even early. Dominguez, Hoffman. They're not going to hold anything back. They're going to do everything they can. This is a good comment too by Jaden. He threw a great knuckleball last year in tribute of Tim Wakefield when Tim Wakefield sadly passed away, and it was filthy pitch. I wonder who that was against. I wonder what the date on that is so we can watch that for a sec. Let me see if I can do a little Google for that. Kirby knuckleball. 7/31/2024. Oh, wait a minute. Who are they playing? Versus, the Red Sox, of course. Makes sense. Perfect tribute outing. So, Red Sox, Mariners, and we're looking for 2024 Kirby. He opened the game with a knuck. Here it is. Filthy knuckleball right here. Ball one, but decided to open up. This is actually not the best one. He's done other ones that were better. But he tried to do the Tim Wakefield thing, throws a knuckleball, 154 RPM. That's impressive. It's impressive to have this feel at all, even though it's a ball. I love the fact that he did this. Just very cool. A kid who has, definitely some respect for the ones that came before us, paved the way. Like a Tim Wakefield. Yeah, Matt Waldron throws a knuckleball. That's true. Kind of a hard knuckleball, too, for the Padres. What else is there? Anything else in here today? Not really. We've covered it all. This should be a very good game today. I expect quick hook, big time on the side of the Blue Jays tonight, unless Shane can come out really, really good. And I think they'll let Kirby pitch a little bit on the other side this time. He only went 5 innings his last outing. If he's looking good, I say he stays in there. Interesting, though, that they did have to throw Bizzardo for 2 innings. He's probably only a 1 inning availability today. He's their best early relief option for Seattle on their staff. And we'll kind of see how that develops over time. We have a comment here about Mad Max. Excited Mad Max will get his chance. I'm really hoping his time away to rest and recuperate can help him improve. Yeah, so Max is coming off of, we'll obviously break this down before Game 4, which he's scheduled to start. But Max is coming off of probably the worst pitching that he's ever done, as a ball player. He just has, at times, looked good, but he's just struggled this year. His last 5 starts, it hasn't been since this Milwaukee start where he went 4 innings, 9 hits, but no, it's been bad the whole time. His last 5, not pretty, including this one at the Royals. 0 2/3, 7 earned. So I'm excited too because I love Max, and I'm excited to watch him pitch anyway, especially if the Blue Jays can steal this one, and then Game 4 is a massive Game 4 to get the series evened up. But yeah, it's not looking good so far. He has had a lot of rest. He didn't pitch since September 24th. That is quite a while. And that's where it almost works out to be rusty, because who cares? You weren't good before, so a full reset might help you out. I could get on board with that. Oh, October 1st, 2023 was a really nasty one. Who were they playing, Jaden? Do you know who they were playing? October 1st, 2023. I'll find it. October 1st versus the Rangers. Okay, Rangers, Mariners. Oh, I need Rangers first. Rangers, and then Seattle. And you said October 1st, 2023. Man, he's been doing this for a little while. His little knuckleball tributes. I like it. Here it is. First pitch knuckleball to Semien. No. Seeker? Carver? Was this actually a fastball? No. I'm confused. When did he throw a nasty knuck in this game? Any ideas here? I thought it was like a first pitch that he threw to somebody. Now we're just hunting around. Well, no dice here. No dice here. Thanks, though. Appreciate it. But no dice yet. Didn't figure out who he's throwing it against, so I can't figure that out. I thought it was to Corey Seager, right? Oh, here it is. Yeah, Corey Seager. We found it. This one's filthy. Oh, my God. He should throw that as an actual part of his arsenal. Man, look at it wobble. Wobbles left, wobbles right, drops straight down. Corey's nowhere near it. He thinks it's going to wobble in because of that first move. He should really have this as a normal part of his arsenal. Imagine throwing 97 and then 73-mile-an-hour knuckleball off that. No way you're going to hit it. That's filth. I love that. That's so cool. I wish I could have done something cool like that in my career. All right, Anthony Volpe underwent shoulder surgery yesterday. Good for him. He needs to. I think it was hurting him a little bit on defense for sure, and then who knows how much at the plate. So that's good news for Yankee fans, because he'll probably be out there. So they're gonna have to see. He's been hurt. Not easy to play hurt. It's hard enough to play healthy. Can we look at R.A. Dickey's knuckleball real quick on Savant? I don't know that it will actually be here. Because he retired probably before Savant, right? R.A. Dickey, last time 2017 Braves. Wow, look at the movement profile. Remember when I talked about knuckleballs having a mind of their own? Holy shnikes, look at that. What is that? That's crazy. Oh my God. What is it average RPM? Actually averaged over 1,000 RPM. I think they had a hard time tracking it this early. Yeah, it says it averaged 1530 here. 15, 13. I bet you some of these are off. I bet you some of these are off because it's so long ago. But it's pretty cool how he has ephus in here too. He's got ephus. He's listed as throwing an ephus. That's the slower knuckleball, I suppose. What an interesting pitcher, R.A. Dickey. R.A. Dickey. I mean, had no UCL. Gets drafted first round. They find out he has no elbow ligament. Keeps pitching. Then switches to knuckleball. Ends up winning a Cy Young. Freaking Cy Young winning knuckleball. And you can see the movement chart here is absolutely bananas. 24 ride almost on a knuckleball. Makes no sense. So you can see as a hitter, if they don't know where it's going, how do you know where it's going? And it becomes a matter of throwing the ball over the plate. Nevertheless, he rode the knuckleball to quite a good career. Old Raw Dickey, 23.7. WAR, 120 wins, 400 games, 300 games started, over 2,000 innings pitched. He had no UCL. Yeah, there's been a few people like this. They go to take their physical at the end of the season, and they find out, oh, you're not born with a UCL, which kind of limits your ceiling on how hard you'll be able to throw and for how long. And so he switched to knuckleball style. Michael Kadire is another one with no UCL. Granted, he wasn't a pitcher, but no UCL, born with no CL in the elbow. That can happen. Very interesting. Also, for the readers out there, he has a great autobiography published. Great read. Thanks, Johnny. And imagine seeing 100 all game and then a knuckleball. See, I think the other way worked really well too. Like back in the day, there was a little R.A. Dickey to Juris Familia action. So it's like, guys throwing freaking lollipop butterfly knuckleballs, and then you get a 100-mile-an-hour sinker after that. This was the epic Cy Young Award winning year that obviously stands out. He went 20-6 in 34 starts through 233 and 2/3 innings, got 230 strikeouts throwing those knuckleballs. And won the Cy Young doing it. So that was pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. Here's the actual data here. He took the picture with Team USA, and Rangers thought his arm looked weird, took a check, and then boom, no ACL. No UCL, I should say. Very, very strange. And then a quick just process question here from Frederick Brown. Adam loves you as a pitcher. Thank you. How important is it for Shane to get ahead in the count and early? I mean, look, Shane is a classic nibbler. Now he can do it because he has that kind of command, but you cannot nibble behind in the count all day. You have to establish strike one. So this is kind of the be all and end all here. He's got no chance of pitching well if he's behind in the count all the time in this game versus Seattle, who are going to take big swings when they have count leverage. So he needs to get ahead, cut their swings down, read their swings, make them chase, and go from there. He's capable of doing it. This is the team he's shoved against many times. In a ballpark he's shoved in many times. He can do it, but yes, a lot relies on strike one. Hey, Adam, how are you today? I am sick as a dog. Sick as a dog. So, doing my best to hang in here. And I don't think there'll be baseball after dark tonight. We'll cover baseball and coffee tomorrow on Seattle and the Mariners. I think MLB wants to do a simulcast on Thursday night, so we'll do that tomorrow, more than likely. But today we're just going to do these. But I'm fine. I still love being with you guys. Can't break what you don't have. I love this comment. Yeah, but they also don't trust you to throw hard if you don't have UCL either, so you kind of need it. Okay, do you think for the high-end college prospects it's expected for them to skip to high A and those find success race through the minors? Well, kind of, and I kind of think it's smart. You try to figure out where the SEC level of baseball is, right? The high college level of baseball. I always felt like it's right around AA level, maybe a bit below. The players are better, but the brand of baseball is just as good in the SEC because those teams are really well coached and they play really good fundamental ball. Whereas in AA, you have a lot of guys that are really raw talent. So like their talent can beat you, but their fundamentals are a little suspect. So I would say, yeah, get them to AA right away. You don't really have anything to learn in A ball. I actually rotted in the minor leagues for too long. I can show you. Now I was a little bit more of a project than some of these other guys. But if you look at my minor league stats, I pitched a whole year in high A and had a good year, but didn't get any better, which I felt like was a big deal for me. Here, I'll take you way back to the season of 2007. This was my first full year in pro ball. I pitched a little bit coming out. I was a first rounder out of college. Now, it wasn't a big-time college. It was Northeastern, so it was more of a mid-major. But still, I had dominated in the Cape. I thought I was ready to go straight, in my opinion, to AA and kind of take my lumps and learn what I need to learn and make adjustments. But they kept me in high A the whole year. Ended up having a good year. 3.08 ERA, 12-8, 143 innings pitched. But I stunk. And I didn't know I stunk because I was facing bad competition. I just was more talented than those guys. Then I go to AA, and I get my freaking doors blown off. 5.23 ERA. I was terrible, had no idea what to do. I would have rather have done that as a 21-year-old, and then by the time I was 22, I figured it out. But that wasn't my journey. That wasn't the way they used to player develop. They used to player develop a lot slower. There was these weird adages. Oh, pitchers need to have 600 innings in the minors or whatever before they get to the big leagues. Which, where did I end up with? I ended up with about 600 innings. So that was kind of the way it used to go. Got to spend time at every level. It's just not the case anymore. Now it's more, let's get you to where you actually can learn. We know that we drafted you while you're still a big time. We know that you're still a big time prospect. Like, we know your stuff plays. Our stuff models love you. They say you're a big league caliber in terms of stuff. So let's go ahead and clean up the stuff in AA, AAA, which will help you get ready for the big leagues a lot quicker. And also, we're not wasting your arm talent in the minors where you come up and now you throw 91 when you were a 97 mile an hour guy out of the draft. So I think this is pretty common. And in this day and age with player development taking place so much better at the college level than it did when I was there, and even the minor league level as well, guys do get better a lot faster. Let's see here. I think those type top prospects should play in the fall league and complete for a spot opening day. No point wasting time in the minors when you're ready. I kind of agree, but not every team is in a moment where they can afford to have a guy make the roster and struggle in the big leagues, because you're probably going to struggle a little bit in the big leagues no matter how good your stuff is. There's been a few exceptions recently, obviously, you Savage, Skeens, but those are still small samples like you Savage. We've seen, even a guy that I was super pumped on, Peyton Tolley, struggled after that first game. Chase Burns didn't have a very pretty ERA. Mizorowski didn't have a very pretty ERA. So these guys are all phenoms, but there's an adjustment to the big leagues, which, to your point, get them to the big leagues, let them figure it out. But not every team's willing to if they're in a winning cycle. So it's a little bit complicated, but they do try to get guys there a little bit faster. All right, what else here? Imagine Paul Skeens throwing 20-ish innings in the fall league and starting the year in Pittsburgh. He would have thrown 20 to 30 anyways if he had the fall LSU again. So Skeens was a crazy one because everybody kind of knew he was ready, and they were holding him back, probably to get another year of control over him and make it 7 years rather than 6 at the big league level, which is what you do. You're kind of incentivized to do that on some level. But then he came in and it was so undeniable, it made them look kind of dumb that they didn't have him up earlier. They could have competed more. When did you feel like you started leaning to strikeouts? It seems that wasn't your style early on. That's not totally true, Mar, just because I did lead the PCL in strikeouts twice when I was age 24. But part of it was this is the way we were coached back in the day. We were taught pitch to contact. This was the Cardinal way. Ground balls, pitch to contact. The only time you're going for strikeouts is 0-1, 0-2. Never throw fastball up. This all broke me a little bit because I was a strikeout pitcher big time in college. I have my college strikeout records. I was a strikeout pitcher. I've always hunted strikeouts. And then I tried for a 4-year period to pitch to contact and to go deeper in games, and it wasn't my style, and it made me eventually go to the bullpen. So I was just doing what I was being told, and then eventually I said, you know what, strikeouts are my game. I need to get them. So that's kind of how that worked. And there's some talk in the chat about the Dodgers rotation. Look, they have the rotation nobody else has. Maybe the Mariners if you want to squint and look at it, but it's still not as high end as the Dodgers. I mean, Snell, Yamamoto, Ohtani, Glasnow, arguably 4 aces right there, and 4 playoff type aces, guys with exceptional stuff as well as pitchability. So Dodgers are in a great spot. They they had a happy flight. Other than that, but it's far from over. The Brewers are scrappy, and we'll see how they respond in Game 3. We're talking about the stuff I just said about Burns. Burns had 2 bad big league outings, inflating everything. He has better minor league ERA than Skeens, if I remember correctly. Even admitted he needs to get the Cincinnati to learn. That's how it is. You're never going to really learn in the big leagues unless in baseball, honestly, as a pitcher at the higher levels, unless you're in the highest level. You're just not. The highest level is so much better than AAA. And the game's played very differently. You can notice in a lot of the ways I break down things by sequencing and by reading things. You don't really get to do any of that in AAA. You don't have any information on who you're facing, and it's really strength versus strength all the time. So he ends up with a 4.57 this year, but it is a ridiculous 67 strikeouts, telling us that the ceiling is certainly there. The stuff's outstanding. How did he look in the minors? What was his path in the minors this year? I mean, it's pretty damn quick. 13 starts, 66 innings. So not a lot. About 5 to 6 innings per start. 1.91 ERA, 89 strikeouts in 6 to 6 innings. And again, this also illustrates our point. He didn't need to be in the minors. It wasn't teaching him anything. If anything, it's just going to make him worse because he's not being challenged. So good on the Reds to get him up there, and then also good on them to transition him to relief when they realize he's not one of their best starters at this moment. Let's use him in the bullpen and see what we got. The strikeout numbers are eye-popping, and this guy's got a huge ceiling. And if he learns a little bit of the contact game and some of the other nuance, he has a chance to be a high-end big league starter for sure, Chase Burns. So that's just another example, but these guys are coming fast and furious. From the hitting ranks, you really don't know what you got till the big leagues. You could rake in AAA, but you really don't know what you got until you get to the big leagues. So with a guy like Kurtz, it made sense for them to get him up there considering he was going to learn nothing in AAA either, and he's been banging in the big leagues since he got a full year, and that's only going to benefit him going forward. Almost a full year. Do you feel like if you came up now with would be a frontline starter with your stuff and pitching style would be perfect? I do think I would have had a much better shot now, simply because my strikeout style would have been more valued. There was like 5 and dive is considered okay at times, so that would have been the low end 5 and dive, the high end 7 and a good outing. I think I would have learned a lot more about how to expand my arsenal younger, and when my arm was still super fresh and I was younger, throwing 96, 97 all the time, that would have played up. So yeah, I do think if I had modern player development and modern analytics driving the baseball thinking, I think I could have been a starter. Who knows, frontline. Eventually I probably would have ran into my usual issues: lefties, base stealers. So that's how it goes. All right, what else we got here? I know it's for service time, but the Reds are in win right now, and they didn't even hold him back enough time to get the rookie incentives next year. Yeah, they needed him. They saw the velocity of what he was doing in the minors, and they didn't hesitate, which I love. It didn't really benefit them from a contract standpoint, but it benefited their team right now. And they did sneak into the playoffs by 1 game. They maybe would not have gotten in there without Chase Burns, but at the same time, being in a pennant race helps you learn even more as well. Now, not every team is willing to do it because they don't feel like they can. They don't feel like they can necessarily, bank on a guy who they're not sure how he's going to perform in a big spot. But they got him up there. They ended up moving him to the bullpen. They got him in some better spots, and he did the rest. He did outstanding. Yes, he had some ERA, Chase Burns, but he showed really well, and he'll be better for it going forward. I'm going to make a whole video on this, Maya, because it's a long story, and I'll make a whole video on this in the off season, and just be as transparent as possible. Give you all the information on that. But it comes down to the game changing and my delivery becoming slower over time, and needing to make high quality pitches at all times and not sacrificing other things. But I'll get into all that at some point. Yeah, Kurtz is a mutant. He's so good. He's one of my favorite hitters in the big leagues. He's probably a top 10 hitter in the big leagues as a rookie, which is pretty crazy. All right. I love you guys. Thanks for hanging with me today. I'm sick as a dog, so I'm wrapping it up early. But I'll be on here tomorrow, and we'll go over all of this game, and we'll preview tomorrow night's game. Same way as we did today. So thanks for hanging with me today on Baseball and Coffee. You guys are the best. And I will enjoy baseball tonight, and I'll see you tomorrow. All right. Have a good one. See you guys. Bye-bye.